Yeah, I've always been near the ocean, but I really love the mountains as well, and so it's kind of it's a lovely change, really. Like it's nice to have all the different seasons and kind of get to
Yeah.
appreciate being warm instead of just, you kind of fall into just, I guess, taking it for granted, being comfortable all the time.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I could use that. I miss that comfort when it gets really cold in Massachusetts. And with that, we are live. So hello everybody. Welcome to Wild the podcast, where we dive into what we love doing, and that is having inspiring, life-changing conversations live on air. I'm Diana Kouprina, and I'm here with Ashton, Lauren, Ryan. And this evening, we're joined by Jenni Dais, who is how do I say this right? I don't even know this word, so I'm sorry. Naturopathic practitioner and spiritual guide with expertise gained through 64 countries, which is wow, amazing. We will have to touch into that. As well as a host of a popular podcast, Woman of the Wild, featuring women worldwide who self-heal, birth on their own terms, and live freely outside of the Western system. This is really cool. I can't wait to dive in to these topics on Wild the podcast that airs live on Jess TV, Meta TV, 101 TV, NCG Television Network, and JessFM.ca. Wild the podcast is proudly sponsored by W.I.L.D, a nonprofit dedicated with the mission of eradicating domestic violence through storytelling, connection, and by providing opportunities for everyone to be heard for free as part of the vision for a better tomorrow. For more information, please visit wildthenonprofit.com. Sponsored by Wild Homes and Gardens magazine and Borderline, a poetic memoir published by Wild Press. And I didn't grab my copy, but I hope Ashton is waving it around right now. Each copy sold, of course, helps us further our cause of sharing inspirational stories for free. And if you wish to be a guest on Wild the Podcast, please email us at hellowildthepodcast.com. Welcome, welcome. I can't wait to dive in. And Jenni, I know Ashton shared a little blurb from your book, and I was actually hoping we can kick off with that because, wow, I really love that blurb. So, Ashton, can you read it for us?
Thank you.
Oh, do you want me to read it? Or are you talking about the quote I sent earlier?
Yes, can you read it?
Do you want to read it, Jenni, or do you want me to read it?
Oh, you go for it. I'll be here listening to the magic.
Well, you are magical. Okay, so let's just sit out. Okay, so I'm plunging in. This was just a little excerpt for sure. I felt her twist in a great heaviness as she came down, one foot on land and one in the water. She came to earth all at once into my own hands at 4:20 p.m. with no one present but she and I. I snapped back into my body with full awareness, grasping her tightly as she gave one loud, healthy cry. I could keep going.
Right?
Yes. I feel it. That sums up, if you will. I don't even know if that's the right way, but to encompass how Jenni, her words to describe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely brought me back to like my own birthing story, and then how my mom told her birthing story of me. So it really just, my mind just went whoo, like all over the place. And it was all connected for me because I actually had to have an emergency C-section. But my mom had convinced me, oh no, you have to like do it naturally. So going in, I was gonna like no epidural, nothing. I was just gonna do it because my mom said, yes, it rips you apart, but it's also the best orgasm of your life, and you should just experience it.
I love that she said that.
That's an incredible description.
And I really, really did want to know what that felt like. But once I got in, and then I was in dilating, and then I had the weird what is it called, like sunny side up or something. Has anyone heard of this? Like,
oh yeah,
my head was like in like my back
flipped the other way.
Yeah, so the my contractions were like it coming from my back.
Oh
Not
my God.
like it's like it was just intense, crazy back pain. So of course I did not last, and I screamed for the epidural, and then I still thought, okay, after the epidural, like she'll come out the right birth canal, but then I wasn't dilating, so then we just had an emergency C-section. But initially, I was aiming for that. What is this like? It tears you apart, and it's an orgasm type of deal. So
That's how I feel. I feel very. I would love. I've only had C sections and great ones. Like I can't complain. Like I planned, scheduled. I mean, it sucked, of course, the recovery part. But my experience with giving birth has been really good. When I mean following my plans. So, and I'm the type that I guess a lot of us don't work very well when our plans get changed. So I'm blessed with that. But I really do have the like earning, especially your book, how it came into my life. Like this has just been the year. I had a few friends who were going to have VBACs and all these different things and are doing VBACs. And I'm like, I think I've got to experience this. I've got to experience the worst and best thing ever. But so Jenni, tell us, I don't know much about your life before baby. So give us the story leading up.
Leading up, really, I've been through quite a bit. Actually, I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, like in my early 20s. And when I was in Colorado, and the doctor there told me, you have 3 months, and that's that. Basically, get your life together, say goodbyes, and this and that. And all he could do was wave like a pain pill prescription in my face, and I was like, "There's no way!" Like, to me, it just happened so quickly. Like to be so healthy, and then just to go in like for what I thought was appendicitis, and then be told this, and then be told there's nothing you can do but pain pills, was just absolutely mind blowing to me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't believe it, to be honest with you. I sat there and I was like, "This is full of crap," So I decided to tackle it myself, and I went through a huge amount of holistic, I guess research myself is the best word to put to it, because I didn't really know a lot starting out. This is what kind of triggered that whole stage of my life, was using myself as a guinea pig to heal that part of myself if I could, and if I failed, then, well, who's really harmed, I guess, in my mindset.
Well, yeah, you tried. But, yeah, I feel you. I feel that mindset. I completely get it.
Yeah, but now that's been, I guess I was 26 then, and I'm 36 now, so 10 years ago. And so obviously the 3 months was not correct, and whether he had given me a misdiagnosis, I don't know, because I never went to another doctor. I didn't know, I just didn't feel like that was the path for me. I ended up going to a naturopathic doctor in Hawaii, and she kind of took me under her wing and started teaching me things, and it inspired me. The healthier I felt and the better I got, to keep going with it. And so I started traveling, and I started learning more and more. In each country that I went, I would find, and it's funny, I say I would find, but really they found me. I just found these situations where I met up with people that were so like-minded to myself and would teach me something new in the health realm. And so I've just carried these little bits and bobs with me like all through life. And then I had several miscarriages through this time, 9 in fact. And I imagine that was, to do, I've always had like the issues with that part of my body, which is crazy. But I had a lot of like childhood trauma in that area. And so I feel like maybe those thoughts and those patterns and those feelings, like, people do say your emotions manifest in health, and so I feel like maybe my unhealed emotions were manifesting. And so the time and effort that I put in healing those things, as well as, taking care of my body and learning how to eat right and learning how to meditate and do yoga and all of the things, there's so many different aspects. I don't want to say just one thing will work for somebody, we're all so different, but taking the time and effort to put all those things together, finally I ended up getting pregnant with my little girl, and it stuck. So here she is. But
how old is she?
She's 3 years old now.
Oh, how
Yeah, she
fun.
just turned 3. It's wonderful, and it's been wonderful. But I think that the whole birthing process and everything had to do a lot with my past experience and all of that as well. Just I have very
How
little
did you
trust
find it coming full circle for you?
of what the whole,
The
just
whole,
the birth.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I guess that was my healing, really, like that was the confirmation of my healing was having been through so much pain and trauma
Mhm.
and illness in that area of my life. And then to finally, right before I got pregnant, I was in such a really beautiful mental state of where I felt that I had, come to accept who I am and the things that have happened, and I
Mhm.
truly felt that I had healed, and and so I felt like that was my gift at the end of the healing, if that makes sense,
Yes.
and that was
It
the
does,
full
yeah.
circle. And how are you going to break the cycles of your past now that you're in a place where you can bring somebody into the world and do better than what you had, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
that makes sense. I mean, I was, before we started, like I said, I was reflecting a lot on birth stories and children and miracle babies. And my daughter is such a miracle baby because I was told I couldn't have kids. And then I was diagnosed with PCOS. Um, and so ultimately, by when I was like at one point I accepted I couldn't have kids. Like that was just kind of accepted. And then I fought it. Um, and then eventually I had an ectopic. And then after that I was told, no, don't even risk it. It's not worth it. So I drank some nettle tea and I was like, you know what? I'm risking it because this is such a great window. Like they're like, you'll definitely get pregnant. It's just having a 70 chance of having another ectopic. And I was like, well, I took the 30% chance and I ran with it, right? Because there's 30% chance. They didn't say zero, they said 30. So I heard that as a positive thing and I took it and it worked. Again, I'm not a specialist. I don't recommend anyone doing this. I don't know how.
Metal tea today. We've been forging all the metal.
um, but for me at that time, it just felt like, and that's when actually how my healing really began because that's when because I was in the manifestation mode. I was like, I have nothing to lose. I've lost already everything. All I want is this baby because somehow by having a child, somehow my mental state I'll have more of a purpose. And with that purpose, I can have more of a drive and then I'll have more of a drive and I'll come back to life. And that was the mission. And it completed itself. I want to say it came full circle. She's 10 and it's been amazing because I got a chance to go back to my own childhood and just even get a chance to do it differently and just what I wanted. What I didn't maybe get was the
That's
mission
okay with
to
it. Yes.
give her and just kind of follow the child. So just kind of just have her guide me rather than set these perimeters with a lot of no's. That's just been kind of our dance. And also, it's just knowing your child. I think every child is different, again. And so, with that, who knows what the right thing is for any parent. But for me, it was really just following her, letting her lead, and me just being that kind of person she falls onto or needs that support, but really letting her take the lead.
But what a
And I
lesson
just went off
for
so
us.
many different tangents on that one. Sorry about that. So back
But
to
it is
Jen.
a beautiful thing. I just keep thinking, I didn't realize Jenny's little girl was only 3. She wrote a book. She compiled all of these stories and she founded like you've done a lot of things in 3 years, Jenny. I didn't realize you gave me a little like
That's no,
but,
that is so much,
but it
especially since.
reminds me that's what happens as a parent. Like you said, Diana, you have a whole new purpose and to give your child what you didn't have or what you think you
Mhm.
needed. And when it comes to business, I mean, Diana, you wrote your book, and I mean, we all these different things that I think we've created. To me, motherhood very much helped me step outside and really see myself, and I was able to develop whatever I've done. I don't know what I've done, but I feel like motherhood has helped me, helped makes sense. If that makes
Progressed.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Makes sense.
purpose.
And
Yeah.
yes.
So Jenni, tell us about your book without giving too much away.
So what do you want to know about the book, I guess? So I got the idea, of course, from my own daughter's birth, and which, you know, I always knew I kind of wanted to do it my way. Obviously, I've been outside of the medical system for quite some time, but you know, that wasn't even the main reason. The main reason that I wanted to give birth to her on my own is because I am just incredibly shy. Like the idea of having, it's true, the idea of having so many people like surrounding me and like people that I didn't know, like around me in the birthing room, like that was just absolute terror to me. So
you're a badass then. That is badass.
It would be way better if I was just me, you know? And so that was the original idea. And I went to go and find a midwife originally in Florida, but there was only like 3 available and none of them really vibed with me. I couldn't imagine any of them actually being there and feeling comfortable with them. And so I jokingly said to my sister, like after I had this last like midwife interview, I called her and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to do it my damn self. And my sister was like laughing with me, you know. And then it's funny that that's exactly how it turned out, because it felt so right as soon as I said it, as soon as those words came out of my mouth, you know. And so after the whole thing, I thought to myself, well, there has to be other women who have experienced something similar, or, you know, I would like to kind of connect with them, because I just felt like my own experience was a little bit different than what most people choose to do. And I want women to know that there are options out there. I guess that was my purpose of, you know, whatever you choose, it should be your choice. You shouldn't feel pressured into doing any one specific thing. It should feel, you know, it should feel connected to you and your baby and your situation and your family, and it should bring you joy when you think about it later, you know, and whatever that means to you. And so I ended up connecting with all of these women who wanted to share their stories, and that's what's compiled in the book.
And now, how did you find them? Did you find some of these women while you were still pregnant?
One, actually, only one. She and I connected with her on Instagram, and we just kind of like chatted this back and forth and became friends through Instagram. But the rest I only connected with after I posted about my giving birth, because I really didn't share a lot about the whole process while I was pregnant, because there is still a huge amount of stigma with you know, foregoing the medical system. You know, a lot of people look down on that and say, are you doing the right thing for yourself or your baby? Is it safe? This and that. And I just didn't feel like dealing with that stress, to be honest.
And there's something sacred about keeping it to yourself too. I feel like there's something about like there's a lot, you know, you're not supposed to talk about certain things. Like, I don't know. There's some.
Yeah. Some people are very open and they want to, and that's good for them, you know, but like for me, it just didn't feel like what I wanted. I wanted to keep this something special and sacred to myself. And so I only told my sister. She was the only one that knew that I was going to give birth by myself. Even the rest of my family, I told them, I was like, oh, I hired a midwife, you know.
Oh, so you did say that. That's awesome.
I did. Well, I knew, you know, I knew they wouldn't like purposely mess up my plan, but like they would be worried, and like, why worry everybody kind of thing, you know, why stress everybody out? I know my poor dad would have had a heart attack of like thinking, you know, you're going to have her by yourself in the condo. What's wrong with you, you know?
I love that. That's such a better little, like, your story is beautiful, and the words that you use is beautiful, but you don't really talk about the family side. Like, you know, it's as it should be. It's about you and the process. So that's so interesting. I wondered about how your parents, you know, that's so cute. And so peace of mind. You provided peace of mind to them. And
and protection to myself, which I think that's funny, is like, you know, you go into mother mode so quickly, you go into protective mode and you start protecting your sacred space, like at the very, very beginning, before they're even around, you know?
Yeah.
So did we even read the back of the book, or like the story? We did a description of Jenni,
Yeah, but I don't think we did a description of the back of the book. I mean, I love the cover. I love
Oh, thanks.
everything I'm seeing.
Okay, so this is the info of the book. The age of wise women is returning. The matriarchy is steadily reclaiming her power in all corners of the world as women rise up to let their voices and stories be heard. This collection of inspirational, first-hand free birth and home birth experiences from some of these very women will have you submerged in a wave of empowerment and craving for more. That's what it is, empowerment. That's what you're giving these women. Well, you a voice. They share these stories, and it's empowering to know these people that can they can contact. You have everybody's information here. Like, this is such an amazing resource. That's the word, resources. I think I just love it. I just love it, Jenni.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to make sure, as I was writing all the stories and everything, getting permission to be able to share everybody's contact information was important to me because I wanted to be real and authentic, if that makes sense, because anybody can just tell a story, right? It doesn't really necessarily make it true. And so I felt, this would bring it to like real life, and it would help other women who perhaps were inspired by somebody's story to be able to actually reach out to that person and be like, hey, how did you do this? Or I have questions or this and that. And so all of these women who are in the book are either, some of them have gone on to be birth workers post giving birth to their babies because they feel so inspired to help. And they had such a wonderful experience, which I think is a pretty cool thing, that their experience was so beautiful that they've gone on to want to help others give birth, like by being midwives and this and that. Like, they were just so inspired by their own experience. But the other ones who are just mothers as well, like the rest of us just want to still be open and be able to help and answer questions and stuff. So I thought that was kind of lovely of each of them to offer that.
Ashton, can you throw us the title of the book one more time? And
Sure.
I'll just take a second to reintroduce the show for anyone who's tuning in. We've just been discussing birth stories. We dove right in. We weren't holding back and discussed Jenni's amazing birth stories, a story where she really did it on her own. And I'm still kind of like in the wow aspect of it. So,
Well, I feel like I always bring these guests you
do.
And then you're going to read this.
Most amazing, inspiring, empowering woman. And I love it. Thank you for that, Ashton. But Jenni, you as well. Your story is so inspiring. Why am I blanking on the title of the book? Ashton, you were like, and I can't seem to read it. Woman of the Wild.
Women of the Wild. Yes.
Woman of the Wild. So here on W.I.L.D, the podcast, we've been discussing Jenni's book, Woman of the Wild. For anyone that's tuning in, welcome. W.I.L.D, the podcast airs live on Just TV, 101 TV, NCG Television Network, Meta TV, and www.justfm.ca. W.I.L.D, the podcast is proudly sponsored by W.I.L.D, a nonprofit dedicated with the mission of eradicating domestic violence through storytelling, connection, and by providing opportunities for everyone to be heard for free as part of the vision for a better tomorrow. For more information, please visit wildthenonprofit.com. Sponsored by Wild Homes and Gardens magazine. And Borderline, a poetic memoir written by me, published by W.I.L.D Press, and available on Amazon.ca. Each copy sold helps us further our cause of sharing inspiring stories for free. If you wish to be a guest on W.I.L.D the podcast, please email us at hello@wildthepodcast.com. And back to the show. Jenni, I wanted to talk about healing and what did you do to find your healing? What were the herbs you used, holistic approaches? I think that, yeah.
Sure. So I guess, for which part of the healing? Which part are you curious about?
Well, actually, all of it. Was it? And did you find it to be like intertwined, or did you have to do, different focuses?
There's definitely different focuses depending on what you're focused on healing. so in the very beginning, when it was the cancer issues, my main thing that I focused on was iodine and implementing that into my daily practice in the extreme, really. And I don't recommend this. I guess I should like clearly say this. I don't recommend everybody just go out and take like mass quantities of iodine, because it is not right for everybody. You know, make sure that you
Yep.
know yourself and all of that, and talk to somebody who's experienced if you're not, kind of thing. But for me, it was literally quadruple the amount of what the recommended dosage is.
Mhm.
And I went purely based on something I learned in Japan, was just their own intake and the amount of cancer that they have as a general population is like incredibly low compared to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And so really there was nothing solid that I went by. This was an idea, a gut feeling, and just something that somebody said to me in passing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this.
Mhm.
And
I feel you. I've
so,
experimented on myself that way as well.
yeah, you know, and
Sometimes
it's
it
funny.
works.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it does not. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm grateful that it did work in this case. But, you know, I think that that's the biggest thing, I guess, that was beneficial to my healing, was reconnecting with my intuition, because that's what led me to find the iodine, and that's what led me to do all of the rest of the things that I did, because there was a lot more, you know, to all of the healing and all of the process, because I was trying to heal my mind, my body, and my soul, you know, and there's different aspects that go into all of that. The travel, um, the travel helped me a lot, and I spent a lot of time alone, hiking. In particular, I went to New Zealand, and I hiked the Southern Alps, and so I was alone completely for 3 months, like not another soul that I see, and I was just off in the middle of the mountains, and the experiences that I had reconnected me with my soul there, and with my body, and with my own ability to take care of myself, and my trust in myself. You know, when you keep yourself alive, I guess every cell in your body feels those kinds of things. If that makes, I don't know if that
Oh
resonates,
yeah.
but
Oh no, yeah.
You're in good company, I promise.
Yeah. And I mean, that is so inspired. It's just wow, you did it on your own. You really physically, emotionally, that's just relying on yourself completely.
Trusting
Yes.
yourself. I
it's
love
the
that you said
trust. And that is, it's a big thing, because I think in our human culture, like, I'm not even just specifying any specific place or person, it's humanity in general. We have become like so at ease with just being alive in our day to day, you know, and our food comes from the grocery store, and you know, we have a comfy bed to sleep in, hopefully most of us, you know, and I think sometimes when those things are stripped away, whether you strip them away on your own or they're stripped away from you, it brings you to a place of survival mode, you know, and that's certainly not a place that you want to stay in by any means. But if you look at it in a certain way, and you're getting through that place to get to the other side, and you have like a goal in mind of what the other side is for that, I think it can be really healing.
Oh, absolutely.
Share us, do you have any resources that I know you learned and you grasped it all, but share it to somebody that maybe just not necessarily cancer related, but was looking to holistically change their lifestyle? Are there any resources or references you can throw out at us? I know I'm totally putting you on the spot. I was curious, like reading, what, you know, those.
Well, actually, so I started my own nonprofit because of this. So if anybody has any questions or wants to talk further about any deep things going on with themselves, like, because everybody is so individualized, you know, I would be happy to just chat with them on my own. But you can find the website womenofthewild.world, and we're a nonprofit that is dedicated to women. And so that's birth and healing and postpartum and naturopathic wellness, all the types of things. And we have a nice little community there of ladies.
So how does it work on your website? Do people get in touch with you and you guys individualize? Like, do you help?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
tell us more. Tell
so
us more.
sometimes, yeah, so sometimes, you know, of course I'm always available, or at least the best that I can be, but, but there's actually, so on the website, I have it set up, there's a state by state, section of the site. So anybody that's seeking help or advice of any different kind, or even just like a holistic practitioner or a midwife, they can go to the resources page and click on their state and find everybody that I've connected with, that I've actually chatted with and vetted. Like, I know they're legit. It's not just some random person I've plopped on there kind of thing. So they can talk to people in their areas who can help them connect with other people in their community, as opposed to just relying on, you know, just me, or, you know, or just anybody kind of thing.
Well, community is so important. Okay, so that your nonprofit is Women of the Wild also.
It is, yes. I figured I'd keep it the same.
Yes, I just didn't want to misspeak. Okay, so that, and tell us your website again. Give us all of the information to kind of what you said before.
Yeah, the website is womenofthewild.world. And you can find anything on there to do with birth and holistic healing, connect with mental health professionals, and holistic wellness professionals, that kind of thing, all in your area, all in your town.
Amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm so curious. I love your writing style. I love your ideas, and just from this book, do you have anything you could share with us coming up? Any new books? Any new ideas? Tell us. Any secrets?
Well, honestly, no. I've really been focused just on being a mom right now, and I'm enjoying my time with my little girl. And I started the flower farm here, and I've been, I guess, focusing on my healing now again from the postpartum part of things.
Did you have postpartum?
So a little bit odd, but for the first 6 months, no, everything was totally fine, and wonderful, and I healed really well and this and that, and then I got struck by lightning.
Wow.
Yes, and so for the last,
I wonder if we should have started the show off with that.
And so I wouldn't necessarily call that postpartum, but funny enough, like a lot of the symptoms that, you know, go along hand in hand with that, like are similar to that, because it does affect your thyroid, and it affects your hormones, and it affects your nervous system, and it affects your mind and all of that. And so I've just been in a whole new little healing journey of taking care of myself and getting my mind and heart right again, all over again. And maybe that's just how life goes, it's just a constant wave of healing and feeling good, and then healing and feeling good again, kind of thing.
But you know the drill. You know how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I felt prepared for this,
Like, lightning wasn't on your bingo card, getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, I was like, I would not like it to happen again, but I can check that one off, the bucket list.
I think I just even the thought of it, that's just scary. You just get electrocuted.
Yes,
right?
And the most annoying part of it is like all of the traveling that I've done, and all of the camping and the hiking, and like being in the middle of the wilderness on the tops of mountains in the middle of storms, nothing ever happened to me. And I was sitting in my library with the slider door open, reading a book. This is when I get struck by lightning.
The dangers of reading.
Like, are you kidding me? Like,
were you in Florida or Arkansas?
I was in Florida, and yeah, and so my house there is like it's a condo, but it's got like slider doors, these big, huge slider doors. And on one side is the beach, and then the other side is the intercoastal. And so I'm just completely surrounded by water. And I love sitting there and just reading. And I would sit there all the time in the middle of the storms. And it was just a cloudy day. It wasn't storming, not raining, nothing like that. And I'm just sitting there, and it struck and hit my pinky finger and went all through my body. But it was the craziest feeling. It was, everything just slowed down. And I noticed it, like going up my left arm, and all of the hair standing up and then I felt it go through the top of my head and then go out through the other side of my body. And like, it was just really, really slow, and it wasn't painful to me. I've heard different experiences, you know, where a lot of people have a lot of pain, but for me, it just was like, it was like the whole world was in slow motion, and then everything got really, really bright, and colors were really, really bright, and I was seeing geometric patterns all over the place.
Ooh.
Yeah, and my vision is still a little wonky, to where I see like little patterns and everything, and the colors are definitely different than they were. But as far as like the neurological stuff that happened post that, it's been a little bit of a journey, but it's healed for the most part.
Yeah. Did you ever have pain? Was it ever pain in that like sense?
Not physical pain, no. And I don't know if that's just my circumstance, you know, or if that's just how it goes. But the weirdest part after was just all of the different symptoms was like, because it would be like one thing one day, and then the next thing would be a different day, and the other thing would be totally fine again. So you don't really know how to like treat anything, or how to pinpoint how to heal it. And then of course, you know, right, exactly, or what to expect. But then you kind of start to think about it, and it makes sense that it's kind of like being shorted out, like, you know, like an electric, like, and so everything's just kind of firing off all over the place. And so basically it's your nervous system, and you know, everything is connected with that. And so I think, you know, maybe that was the universe's way of telling me to pay attention to that aspect of myself or something, you know.
Oh, I love that lesson though. Like that you're like aware of where to
right?
start. You're there's something.
Pay attention to your nervous system.
Yeah. It's so I forgot to include, and I should have on our write-up about, is it Windswept Farm?
Oh yeah, Windswept Flower Farm.
Flower Farm. That I've been loving. I'm not to change the subject, but I wanted to blast your other little thing that I love. This is, you know,
thank you.
I follow you. I'm always the fangirl, but it's once I'm in. Tell us about Windswept Farm while we have a few minutes. Windswept Flower Farm.
Yeah. So I started this just because I wanted to be able to have whole food that I knew where it came from. I wanted to wipe out the plastic from my life, and that came from wanting to heal my thyroid after the lightning strike. And so there's so many different aspects of like going into healing your thyroid, and getting the chemicals in the plastic is like number one, you know. And so I started this just basically for myself and for my daughter, and then really found that I love it. And I have a gift for growing stuff, and so there's just flowers all over the place. And so I've started kind of giving to the community that way, and selling at the farmers markets, and teaching little classes about how to do green natural farming and things like that, because that's something that in Hawaii is a big thing, but I think a lot of people on the mainland haven't heard of it yet. To get away from the chemicals and kind of heal the land, nurture the land, and it nurtures you back, is the basic idea of that.
I love that. I really believe in that too. I like to get into the garden, and I personally like growing flowers and herbs. That's kind of my favorite activity. I like to get in there, and you know, I for coverage I just use a lot of mint. I love my mint. I can't not be mint lemon balm is always in the
dirt. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, and the dirt, you know, the soil smells so good, and it really it has not overcrowded any of my plants, but then I do have a large space, I guess you can say. So it has I've never had an issue where the mint just suffocated anything. It just kind of
coexist.
Just doesn't sting, and then the soil smells good, and I'm like, okay, this, you know, I like this soil. I'd eat something that grows from this, because I've been taking care of it with like compost and just really nurturing.
Yeah.
Well, it comes back. You have the winter, you have complete snow. That's what I think it's so cool when things, I'm like, I'm watering these weeds, I'm watering dirt. But last year, because something came back in, and it almost always happens. So that's so cool. Going back to our trusting ourselves, trusting the universe, having trust that nature will continue its cycle. I'm always
And it
grateful.
does. And I think, like, well, in I know this will affect Canada too, but in Massachusetts, especially, we get again in Canada, it would affect them because of the weather. But it's nice to see that, like, after the frost, the green comes up, and then I almost forget what I plant. And sometimes I completely forget, or I give up hope, and I'm like, that's not going to come up. And that happens with flowers a lot. But this year, I feel like, wow, I've really come full circle. Everything I planted came back, and it just kind of doubled. I'm just like, wow, I'm very proud of my garden. So
That's awesome.
it took 6 years, it started like, I started with a lot of weeds and absolutely nothing. The soil there was horrible. And I want to say it took about 5 years of digging to finally get it to where it is right now.
We're at the point with I have a 5-year-old, Jenny, and he's a little wild boy, like nature kid. We're to the point where now he knows the weeds, and most of the weeds that we have are edible, and most medicinal as well. So he sees my pile of like Biden's alba right now is popping up, blooming, and I'll pull it out and put it in my fire pit, and he'll come back and like sprinkle it around. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to show up next year. That was my today, having like explaining, like, I know, I do. We have so many. We're going to compost. We're just composting them. So that's my day today.
I love that.
I love making the soil, because like I'm always amazed. I put the compost in the soil and just let it, and then I get more soil. Sorry, making soil is exciting.
I know you love soil.
Yeah, it really is.
For our last few minutes, Jenny, I want you to promote your book, your nonprofit, anything and everything that,
and your garden, your flower.
Well, the flower thing, I can start with it. I don't know. Yes, I think it would be kind of neat for a lot of people. I don't know if anybody is interested in collecting indigenous microorganisms, but that's the type of thing that I like to do, because the area that I bought here was totally flattened, packed down, clay, absolutely just dead soil. And I've brought it back to life like crazy within just a year, using this method of like going out into the forest and collecting the microorganisms from the healthy microbes in the forest, and then bringing them back and incorporating them into the soil here. And it breaks up the clay soil. It makes it like more workable without having to dig or do anything. So it's really kind of fascinating if you're into the gardening.
Yes. Are you offering classes only in person, or do you have something online as well?
So at the moment, I am doing only in person, but I am about to get the YouTube channel going and all that fun stuff. So I'm slowly working myself up to it, but it'll be under Windswept Flower Farm. So in the next month or two, there'll be how-tos of collecting the microorganisms and how to use them and all of that fun stuff on there.
I'll be tuning in.
Well, I will share that around as soon as I'm so interested. You should, I try to grow my own mushroom for like and all the different things.
Magic.
Does it work? How's it going? What are you doing? You have 2 minutes to explain.
It works. It's easily. I'm often having. I sanitize. You have to. It's a very funny thing. I don't know how it all works in nature, and then when you try to duplicate inside with all of these fancy schmancy tools, it's very hard. So
yeah, you have to clean everything constantly.
Yes. So I will definitely check out your YouTube when it's ready. I need to learn. I'm interested. I'm so interested.
Oh, cool, guys. I appreciate that.
And so tell us your website. Again.
So the website is womenofthewild.world. And there, we work nonprofit, and so everything is free to all of the ladies that come through there. And there's birth stories on there. There's other ladies in the community to talk to about free birth and home birth and holistic healing, and everything to do with that in your area.
And where did we find your book?
Oh, and my book, of course, Women of the Wild, and that is a compilation of a bunch of free birth and home birth stories, firsthand stories from women all around the world who have been, I guess, brave enough to just do it on their own, and see how it goes.
Trust themselves.
Yeah, trusting themselves. Yeah. And just going about it a different way.
Well, Jenni, you're amazing. You have a fangirl here. Diana's going to read your
definitely.
book.
I'm a huge fan. I'm still processing everything we've been talking. I have so many questions, and of course, I'd love to have you back on the show.
Because but it's amazing. Thank you, Jenni, for what you're doing, helping connect women. To me, that's the greatest gift.
Well, thank you guys. And yeah, I appreciate that from you all as well. It seems like you're doing the exact same thing. So thank you for letting me be part of it.
You must come back on the show, and we'll, narrow down the topics, because I think healing, I believe healing is a journey. It's not just end all, one all, and there's different levels, and there's different aspects, and there's, different areas from physical to mental, and like Jenni said, spiritual. And I would love to dive into that too, because I think sometimes we forget that really mental healing, it should be really, it's not just psychological, it's a lot has to do with spiritual. And I'd love to have Jenni's opinion, hopefully next time on our show. But for now, this was W.I.L.D, the podcast. We do air live on Just TV, Meta TV, 101, and NCG Television Network. So anyone who's been tuning in, thank you so much. Tune in next time. And until then, love yourselves, take care of yourselves most, and take care of each other. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Jenni.
Oh, sorry, anxious child, just calm yourself down. Oh, sorry, anxious
out if they act out. Yeah, I did that. Hey, what's up, though?
Well, it's your gal Yaya, and you're here on Yaya's channel. Just kidding. We are here with a great J.U. Take it over, I guess.
I mean, it's not about taking it over. She's new to it. She doesn't know how we do it. You know what it is. All right, you started off again, and I'm going to kick you and interrupt. It's your man Jay Wu out here in the tropical paradise, and they say you don't bring sand to the beach, but alongside me I have the beautiful co-host Yaya.
Yaya in the building, and we have amazing news for you.
Well, we're outside, not in the building, and the sand is out here on the beach. We're here to talk about who got next hour on Jess TV.
Hey, and I know it is at Tuesday.
I guess.
You know, wait, let me do it. And I know it is at every Tuesday. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Oh, wow, yes. You can catch Damasha with the Zip Mouth Motivation Show. You can catch Jay Cabrera with Indie Vibing with Jay. You can catch Yaya with Reggae with Yaya
all the time.
And we can't forget Who Got Next Indie Artist Video Show. So stay tuned every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. right here on Jess TV.
Yes, it's your man.
And your girl.
And your gal.
That's right.
All right.
Boom, peace.